reduce the risk. This $1.1 billion project is seen as a launching pad towards vaccine acceleration in Africa.
There is no doubt that the delays in reaching lower-income countries and communities with vaccines cost lives. We cannot allow the same thing to happen next time. And there will be a next time. History teaches us that the next pandemic is a matter of when, not if. That's why WHO's 194 member states are negotiating a new pandemic international agreement on pandemic prevention, preparedness and response. Equitable access to vaccines and other tools is at the heart of the WHO pandemic agreement. And it has been a central part of WHO's work for more than 50 years. As you may remember, in 1974, WHO established a groundbreaking initiative to dramatically expand access to vaccines, the Expanded Program on Immunization that's known as EPI. At the time, less than 5% of the world's children were immunized. Today, that figure stands at 83%. Thanks to immunization, a child born today is 40% more likely to see the first birthday than a child born 50 years ago. This was only achieved by the joint effort of all partners, starting from Gavi, working together. And that is what Gavi is. Realizing the power of vaccines through the power of partnership, UNICEF, the World Bank, WHO, civil society, the industry, and more. The Gavi 6.0 strategy is the most ambitious in its history to protect more people against more diseases faster than before. Expanding access to vaccines means expanding production of vaccines, especially in Africa. WHO welcomes the launch of the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator, and we are committed to supporting the African Union to reach its target of producing 60% of continent's vaccines by 2040.
Botswana fully subscribes to the One Health approach on expanding her vaccination scope.
The African Union framework for action titled A New Public Health Order for Africa paves way for our collective efforts in this direction. In this regard, the African Medicines Agency, AMA, will greatly assist our efforts towards pool procurement and co-financing aimed at strengthening continental vaccine manufacturing. Botswana is at an advanced stage in acceding to and ratifying the AMA treaty. With that told, let us continue to uphold the principles of equity, inclusion and solidarity in our efforts to enhance local capacities, broaden pool procurement, access to funding, and fostering sustainable partnerships towards a protected future for our people. To highlight Botswana's perspective, we have proactively implemented policies, programs, and ambitious targets to foster the growth of local pharmaceutical sector. By enhancing our capacity and leveraging the expertise of entities like the Botswana Vaccine Institute, which is initially focused on livestock vaccine production, we are gearing towards expanding our production capacities and capabilities to encompass the development of human vaccines.
The concept of shared humanity calls for equitable sharing of vaccines, prompting global communities to forge ahead collectively towards the attainment of the One Health approach.
Biologics is proud to be a leading global supplier of cholera vaccines. Our new cholera vaccine, Ubicol-S, developed in partnership with the International Vaccine Institute, was pre-qualified in April this year. Ubicol-S is a significant product innovation. It is a new formulation that simplifies the manufacturing process, resulting in higher capacity and lower production cost.
Work is essential to ensuring healthier lives and more prosperous futures for children around the world. At One, we believe that where you're born should not determine whether you live. I have children, and they were actually vaccinated at Institut Pasteur in Senegal. And I've seen the efficacy of our work on the continent. Vaccines have a miraculous impact on children. They save millions of lives. And we must ensure that this miracle becomes a reality for millions of children around the world.
Partnership that recognizes the opportunities that the continent presents. Partnerships between governments, international organizations, donors, and the private sector. Furthermore, we need strong policy frameworks and regulatory environments that support our collective vision. We need alignment between political will and policy. I think I can't emphasize that enough. Regional cooperation amongst African nations and preference for African manufactured vaccines and therapeutics is vital for pooling demand, harmonizing standards, economies of scale, while partnerships with international organizations and donors are critical to strengthening capacity building and production development.
In March this year, President Masisi sent a Botswana delegation led by the Minister of Environment to London on a lobbying mission to push back against some European countries' opposition to trophy hunting. The Botswana delegation would consequently proceed to France, Germany, and Portugal to further share Botswana's stance on trophy hunting with the backing of its tourism policy framework. The policy has seen Botswana have the highest conservation land ratio in the world and a growing elephant population which stands at over 130,000. Botswana's position on trophy hunting remains solid. During his working visit to Germany, President Masisi also met with conservation bodies such as the International Council for Game and Wildlife Conservation, further emphasizing Botswana's position on the need for her to have a say on how she manages her wildlife populations.
This also reminded me of an experience I had in Las Vegas when I was attending a diamond fair, the biggest diamond fair in the world. It's dubbed the JCK. And as I was speaking about diamonds and our conservation and our, very frugal utilization of the proceeds from diamonds for education, for hospitals and all development, a lone protester, obviously sent with limited education about what we're doing, and she bellowed from the audience and said, I have no reason to be standing up, no credibility to be up in the podium speaking like I do, because we kill elephants and we have blood in our hands. Now look, I know Europeans and European values and sentiments, but I'm not European. I come from a different experience of an African, and I responded like an African. And in Botswana too. What we do is we give everybody space to talk. When security was trying to escort her out, I asked them to calmly let her have her say. We listen to her, and I will have my say, because that's the way we do things at home. And I told her in no uncertain terms that she had all her facts wrong. What has blood all over its tusks are those majestic animals that maraud, stampede, and kill my innocent citizens. What I reminded her is she had never seen an elephant attack a human being. What I reminded her was the values that she carried was so idiosyncratic and novel that they would never work if we applied the same to her. And I offered that we just give them only 20 elephants, and we keep them in the very same way in America like they prescribe to us, and see what it's like when you get out of the underground and you happen upon an elephant, and you're not allowed to shoot it. You're not allowed to keep it in a zoo like the ones I see in the zoo here. Then she would imagine what it's like. I also asked her to consider for a moment what sacrifice in terms of the opportunity cost we have had to bear as a people when we sacrifice up to 40% of our landmass for conservation. Show us any that come close. And it's our people who have deliberately said, we will forgo this and let biodiversity thrive. Not just for them, because they earn no direct income out of it, but for global good. It's an asset we give to you.
Botswana also lobbied for support in her intention to host a global fora on conservation at the magnitude of a convention on international trade in endangered species of wild fauna and flora, CITES.
We'd like to invite all of you and motivate you to come not only to Botswana, but to help us as we go put together our proposition to host a global meet, even a CITES conference in Botswana. I heard you well, Willie, of your asks. I will, as I often do, meet my colleagues in the region, impress upon them the need for us to synchronize our voice, and encourage them to also associate with CIC directly.
Key players in conservation issues applauded Botswana's significant conservation efforts and to further step up promotion of sustainable use of wildlife resources.
I see what it means for you, for your team, to add value to the world. You are into conservation. I said before, pillar number 3 is tourism. And wildlife economy and hunting is part of that tourism branch. And all over the world, you try to reach out. You try to reach out via facts. And no one was really interested in facts. It's like us, the CIC, using 70, 80 professors from universities all over the world and telling the public what we are doing is good. We render a service to nature. We render a service to biodiversity. But it was not really taken. What you did was taken. Those 20,000 elephants to Germany, this thinking out of the box, taking a different way, a different approach to reach the people by the emotions, that made the difference. Thank you 1,000 times.
20,000 elephants trailblazed us into a solution in Germany, hopefully in Brussels in the UK, and the UK, and hopefully in Belgium as in Brussels and in France as well. These attempts to attack our business model of conservation, which is highly successful, are everywhere to stop us doing what we're good at, to stop us what we are successful at, and stop us what is the future for Africa, what I call the wildlife economy. The wildlife economy as opposed to cattle raising in a drought environment, a drought that keeps on moving all the time, decreasing the arable land that we have. The wildlife economy generates 4 times as much in value than just raising cattle. But 60 to 40% of the income there is international hunting. And we hunt, as we all know, a minuscule number of animals compared to the progeny. So from my point of view, that is the business model, and who dare in Europe tell us that it is wrong?
In the wake of mixed perceptions about trophy hunting, the German African Foundation, which has for over 4 decades set its eyes on several enablers to the progress of African countries, such as Botswana, has also pledged its support to Botswana's hunting for biodiversity position.
Trophies and elephants, just to make you aware, I mean, we in Europe and in Germany, we have the same problems. We have highly protected species, but nevertheless we might have problems with them that need to be solved. One of the good examples is the discussion about the wolf in Germany. Because of nature protection, the wolf came back to Germany, but we have clashes between farmers and wolves. They kill the sheep, so now we have a discussion. Some of the wolves need to be killed. So, and it is allowed. Nevertheless, there are protected. So it means we ourselves will have to find every time a balance between protecting nature and also protecting human interest. So, and this is one of the examples where we ourselves have to find compromises. The same way as what you do, you have to find compromises. You are very good in protection, but you have to find compromises also in using the situation and protect your people. And so we support strongly what you have mentioned, that we don't change the question with importing trophies from elephants. So we were very clear in that foundation.
Botswana people and German people are very good friends. There are lots of relations, and this is a good start for even improvement. And to be friends, I keep saying there is always room of disagreement. Yes. Yeah? But the point why we have met before, also the minister, this shouldn't be a point of disagreement. I'm very, very frank. When I was Parliamentary State Secretary in the Development Ministry, we had a saying, and I cannot translate it very good, because the rhyme in German is much better, and it says, schützen durch Nützen. That means protecting by utilization. Yeah? If people feel that they can get value out of something, then they will protect it before they kill it or use it. Yeah? I don't have a good translation, but that was our phrase in our ministry some years back. Yeah? And so I have not changed in that regard. I still keep that saying in my mind when it comes to nature protection. So this is also our starting point, and you can advise us what we can do in order to convince those who are not yet convinced in the German government.
We have all offered what we could to the best of our ability to create a society in which every citizen is judged by his or her ability to contribute to the common good that we seek and will continue to seek for our nation.
Are ke tsa mola mukela le katala tala se jabo ngwana tse godile ula imela ko ingela morena serete thapion se ba gare ga mawate en se tsang shatraka en tera ta go itserete irile o ta se ke pe siluma ya siana ya go se ke teng ya bitabo ta morena serete tare serete o bitile ka se fofane o se tsa bua go ga mangwa to go tsuba le morafa ga go bisi go botsa mo gaboro urile ga fitha mo gaboro ne morena serete go se a bua le matona ga go a bua le thamal khat masir.
Today is Seratsakama Day, a day set aside to celebrate one of the founding fathers and first president of Botswana. Hello and welcome. I'm Andrew Sisinye, bringing you this special program meant to remind ourselves of this legend. In this program, we feature excerpts of this father of the nation. During his time, he had premised Botswana